America, we are just drowning in blessing. Woo-wee. Look at us. There's no homeless people on the street. Over 100,000 people a year are not dying because of drug overdose. The streets are just perfect. They're clean. You know, the interest. Oh my God. Oh man, don't even get me started with the U.S. debt. Oh my God, we are near the zeros, ladies and gentlemen. We are near the zeros. Look how much blessing we've gained because we supported Israel, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsey Graham had a powerful speech for the people of America, and I just want to go ahead and say, oh, so tear dripping. Let's listen to it.
Tonight, it's late at night, Israel is in a fight for their lives. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people who would kill them all if they could.
Ladies and gentlemen, as he goes on and yap about Israel and stuff like that, even though we all understand that he's been bought and paid for and they probably have some kind of dirt on him or whatever, you guys need to understand that when, what's his name? Theodore Herzl, when he went ahead and decided to come up with a home for the Jewish people, did you guys know that Zimbabwe was on the list? So if these people are following the Bible, the Old Testament or the Torah, whatever you want to call it, if they were following this book and they understand that Palestine was promised to them 3,000 years ago, why the let me go ahead and watch my tongue. Why the heck was Zimbabwe on the list? What, was that also promised to them 3,000 years ago? No. Instead, they decided to pick a very strategic area. So just go ahead and watch my last video and then you will understand what I'm talking about.
I am tired of the word genocide. Let me tell you about genocide. If Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could.
Also, keep in mind, I'm sorry for pausing it so much, man. It's only a 2-minute video. You guys will be fine. Also, keep in mind, every single time this guy sits there and, praises Israel and defends Israel and say, oh, they're not committing the G word or ethnically cleansing the Palestinians and stuff like that. As soon as he's done talking, or they probably already give him the money. I don't know. Maybe it's before, maybe it's after. I can care less. But understand something. Every time he opens his mouth, a little bit of money gets put into his pocket. He's being paid to tell you dumb ass and asses over there that Israel has a right to defend itself. Imagine that. Imagine that. See, if I believe in something and I'm a staunch believer in something and I believe that this is truly from God, why do you need to pay me for me to go out there and actually preach to the people and tell them that this is from God? Think about that for a second. Like, let that sink in. Shouldn't I have to come out of my own free will to tell you that the people, that, hey, this is what God has planned. Here's the proof as to why. But instead, what did the Israelis do? Rather, they have blackmail on the politicians. They bribe them with a lot of money. They, threaten their career if they decide to speak out of line. Hey, they probably see this video and they're probably going to threaten my career for speaking out of line. You get the whole idea. I guess what I'm trying to say is although they claim that God promised them this land 3,000 years ago, they don't really believe in that. They don't. Because if God actually did, you don't need to threaten anybody because God's capable of doing anything. If God wants to put a group of people on a certain part of the world, he can easily do that without the help of nobody.
They have the capability to do that. They choose not to. Hamas, they would commit genocide in 30 seconds. They just can't. And that's the big difference, folks. To people in my party, I'm tired of this crap. Israel is our friend. They're the most reliable friend we have in the Mideast.
Okay, let's go ahead and tackle that for a second. Israel is our friend. So they were associated with the assassination of JFK. They were dancing when the Twin Towers were falling. They have blackmail on almost all the politicians. The list just goes on and on and on. And man, if that's the definition of friend, whew, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That's only the tip of the iceberg. That's only the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, BlackRock, Vanguard, these places, these giant multi-billion-dollar, trillion bank and stuff like that. Yeah, just understand that people like Larry Fink and they're staunch Zionists. And you know what's also crazy? They decide on what your favorite store should have and should not have. Yeah, that's wild, huh? You guys remember a couple of, I think it was like a year or two ago, when Target decided to put a bunch of LGBTQ stuff in their stores and the people were outraged? You honestly think that, the CEO of Target is the one that actually came up with that idea? Really? All the poison that you have in the food, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, all these other places, you think the CEOs are the one who come up with this idea? All the alphabet mafias and stuff like that are in schools, our kids are becoming dumber and dumber. You really think that the CEOs and all these big people in these positions are the one who came up with this idea? No. Rather, it's these giant corporations, these banking cartels, Vanguards, BlackRock. Those are the real ballers. Those are the ones who are really making the real decisions. It's not even Trump. Again, watch my last video. The American people hate Israel. Let's be quite honest. They hate it. But yeah, you got people like this dude right here just standing there and, just gulling the free. You know what? I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna get graphic. Let's continue.
They're a democracy, surrounded by people who would cut their throats if they could. This is not a hard choice if you're an American.
I really, really hate that. Surrounded by people who will cut their throat when they could. Guess what? After World War III, the Palestinians opened their arms for the Jews to come into the Holy Land. Yeah. The only reason why the Palestinians are in the position that they're in is because of terrorists who were in the Holy Land. Lehi, Agana, and Urgum. That's their name. Yeah, these people were designated terrorists. They didn't only commit terror attack in Palestine, they also did it in places like England. Remember the David Hotel bombing? Yeah, they're behind that too. And then later they became, one of the leaders actually became a prime minister of the state of Israel. The only reason you don't hear about these guys anymore is really easy. Because they've joined together. And you know what they're called now? The IDF.
It's not a hard choice if you're a Christian. A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us. And we're not going to let that happen.
We are really drowning in blessing right now. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh, America. We are just drowning in blessing. Woo-wee. Look at us. There's no homeless people on the street. Over 100,000 people a year are not dying because of drug overdose. The streets are just perfect. They're clean. The interest. Oh my God. Oh man, don't even get me started with the US debt. Oh my God. We are near the zeros, ladies and gentlemen. We are near the zeros. Look how much blessing we've gained because we supported Israel, guys. Look at the degeneracy on the street. Man cannot marry a man and get a marriage certificate. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing from God.
So I just want to end with this thought that President Trump has stood with Israel at the most difficult time since its founding. October the 7th was an effort to destroy the state of Israel, the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust. And here we are almost 2 years later, and Israel's the bad guy.
Okay, October 7th is where you want to start it off with? Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, cool, that's where the history of Palestine begins, was October 7th. 1,200 Israeli died on that day. The Hannibal directive took place on that day. So we don't know exactly how many people the Hamas killed, and we don't know exactly how many people the IDF also killed. But, sake of argument, let's say, cool, Hamas went ahead and killed 1,200 Israelis. Let's say that's true. Over 100,000 Palestinians are dead. Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound like a just war? Because normally, this is how things work. If I slap you, that doesn't mean you can now pick a gun and go annihilate my entire family. Right? And also keep in mind, After October 7th, it was October 10th, the Palestinians actually offered to return back all the Israelis that they captured in exchange for the war to stop, in exchange for prisoners or the hostages that the Israelis also have to be released as well. You probably won't hear none of that because, they had a different goal in mind.
That's ridiculous. Israel is not the bad guy. They're the good guy. The bad guys are the radical Islamists who would kill everybody in this room if they could. So I haven't lost my vision of right and wrong. When it comes to foreign policy, President Trump has stood up for all the right things, and he stood up against wrong things, just like Reagan.
Okay, now, see, this is something that I really, 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 really dislike. It's because, I, as a Muslim myself, I hate being excluded from being a Muslim. Every single time they say Muslim, who do you think about? Arabs. The only people who speak Arabic. Those are the only people that comes to mind, completely excluding the fact that there are millions of Muslims in Africa. There are millions of Muslims in Russia, China, Afghanistan, you name it, America. There are millions of Muslims all over the world. But for some reason, every single time they talk about Muslim, only Middle East comes to mind. Has anybody really sat there and thought to themselves, why is that? Oh, I know why. Because you guys have been dropping bombs on these people for the past 2 decades. So of course they're going to have some sort of animosity toward you. And so you're trying to put in the people's heart that Muslims all over the world, not even all over the world, I'm sorry, the Muslims in the Middle East are trying to get rid of you. It's like these people wouldn't have that mindset if you didn't drop bombs on them for the past 2 decades. You do understand that, right? The only reason places like Iran and Iraq and all these other places, the only reason some of them will shout death to America is simply for one reason and one reason alone. America is funding Israel and Israel is causing damage in that region. Because without America, Israel cannot stand on its own. Seriously, like, this is just basic 2 + 2, But obviously they're going to pay these politicians and have dirt on them to make it seem like, oh, the American people stand with Israel. And it's like, no, we don't. No, we don't. We want y'all to stop the war. We want y'all to get the heck out of there. Let Israel stand on its own. Trust me, as soon as America backs out, they'll cooperate, but they can't. You want to know why they cannot? Samson option. Yeah, come on, let's be honest. It's not the first time that they would threaten the world with Samson option. When Israel was fighting Egypt and Lebanon simultaneously, they were on the blink of annihilation, and they called America and said, hey, buddy, by the way, if you don't come in and help us, just understand that we are going to drop the bomb. This is going to be Nagasaki and Hiroshima 2.0 right here. And of course, America stepped in and helped out, so that way they don't get to use it. Yeah. And now fast forward today, they have a lot of nuclear bombs. And these maniacs, these sociopaths are ready to use it. And so people like Lindsey Graham and stuff like that, well, they got to pretend that they care so much about America and so much about Israel, even though they're being paid, to stand there and pretend that they are bastion of peace and democracy, even though it's an apartheid that's going on in the Middle East. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and sub, and I'll catch you guys up later.